Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, we're back. It's episode 156 of the Hibs Ramble. Do not adjust your headphones or your laptop screens, your phone screens, wherever you are listening or watching on. I am officially back. I would say it's your host as always, Liam, but it's not as always at the moment. But I'm your host this week for at least. I'm back after quite a long hiatus, and I'm joined by the wonderful Mr. Shaun Corrigan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. We're obviously trying something new this week. Got someone new in to host, someone that loads of people haven't seen, maybe ever. It's been that long, so he's got a wee trial period. We might sign him up on a long-term deal. See how he gets on.
Listen, it's been a while. There's been an awful lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so I took a step away for a little while. And just before we get into anything, I just want to say a big, massive thanks, obviously, to Shaun for kind of keeping the pod alive whilst I was away. And then obviously we've had a bunch of different episodes with a bunch of different guests. We've had John Tomey, Rory Barraclough, Gogsy, and even Craig Leach made an appearance as well over the time that I've been away. So just a big, massive thank you to everyone who's kind of chipped in and helped Shaun out, and in turn then helped me out by getting pods out and keeping us going, keeping us ticking over. But I'm back now. Hopefully I'm not going to go away again for a wee while at least. But no, I'm back now and I'm ready again to talk about the ever disappointing Hibernian FC, who weren't as disappointing as I expected them to be this weekend. Shaun, a 3-0 victory against a potential banana skin in Kilmarnock. Were you expecting us to go and get such an easy 3 points yesterday?
I didn't expect us to actually win yesterday, if I'm being completely honest. I felt obviously we are a better side than Kilmarnock. We have better players, we're a better team. League table proves that as well. I don't know, just the scepticism in me as a Hibs fan felt that it was just going to be one of those days where we were probably going to absolutely batter them and nothing was going to work and nothing was going to go our way, especially how the last two league fixtures went before the international break. The 2-0 draws, we were obviously creating lots but not doing anything, and Kilmarnock have been blowing hot and cold since Neil McCann came in. More cold than hot, but when they have blew hot, they've been banging in the goals and getting in some good victories against some sides as well. So yeah, I didn't really know what Hibs side was going to turn up, and that's probably because I didn't really know what Kilmarnock side was going to turn up. Obviously it was great how it transpired yesterday, but pre-match going into it, wasn't confident, and I didn't have any justification for it other than history.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched Kilmarnock quite a few times this season when they've not been playing Hibs as well. When they've been on the telly playing against the old firm of Hearts or whoever. I'm sure they had a game in the Cup that was on the telly as well. And since Neil McCann's come in, they have been. He solved the problem of them not scoring any goals, because he managed to get them scoring freely. And I do think that as a squad, and this is my kind of hot take for the week, I think Kilmarnock will be fine come the end of the season. I don't think they'll be in any relegation playoffs or anything like that. I think they'll be okay, because I think as a squad, the players that they've got are more than good enough to get them out of this sticky situation. And I think that they've probably shown to the manager, at least, that they're more than willing and more than capable to get themselves out of that sort of area of the table. I mean, before we even talk about Hibs, I kind of want to pick out a couple of the Kilmarnock players that I quite like. Obviously, you've got Finlay Curtis, who's on loan from Rangers, who's been really good for them so far. Obviously scored at the weekend, but was chopped off for offside. It was a good finish. Their fullback, Dom Thompson, who I think came on in the second half, I really like him. I think he's a really good player. Jamie Brandon's done really good for them. You've got David Watson, Brad Lyons in the midfield. I mean, it's not a team of wall punchers and hammer throwers. It's a team of quite technically good football players. And I think that I kind of had a similar sort of anxiety to you going into the game, because I thought, if they do turn up, then it is going to be difficult for Hibs. But again, it clearly proved to be, especially after the first 13 seconds and after the first 15 minutes when we got the second, that they were just willing to kind of damage limitation, sit in and not try and cause us too many problems for the remainder of the first half. But let's talk about that fast start. Shaun, you tweeted it after he scored, but I kind of want to know what you can do in under 13 seconds.
I could probably not do as much as you in 13 seconds as things would maybe prove otherwise. I think you can get yourself quite busy in 13 seconds, maybe in 6 seconds times 2. But yeah, I'm surprised that we managed to get the goal so quick. What I liked about it, and I noticed it was quite a theme throughout the first half anyway, is at any given point where Salinger was playing it up top, it allowed us to try and pin the Kilmarnock backline in, and we've seen that very early doors, but we also seen it with the other chances we created in the first half and the second goal, where when we went a wee bit longer, because Owen Eldon was doing a hell of a lot of work. I felt like he was everywhere yesterday, but even the first goal highlights it. We play that longer ball. Yes, we maybe didn't win the ball when the ball went long, but we fed off the second balls, and by that point, both our fullbacks were what you probably class as like inside forward areas or a wide attacking areas at that point. They were that high up the pitch, and that gave us the freedom and the space even that early on. And the second goal kind of looks like that as well, where Owen Eldon's done very well. The ball obviously gets played in behind to Obita as well, and our two highest players are our fullbacks. That seemed to be a recurring theme throughout the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it does make such a difference. We'll talk about Felix Paslak first, obviously coming in the winter window. And for me, he's been a real breath of fresh air on that right-hand side. Obviously, we had Chris Cadden that was playing there before, Kanayo Megwa, and all credit to them, but I just don't think that they have the ball-carrying abilities that Paslak does. And it kind of proved it in the way that he kind of took it around a couple of different Kilmarnock players and ended up putting a really, really good ball in for Owen Elding. And he still had a lot to do when Elding picks up the ball just outside the 6-yard box. But I think all the credit, or 75%, 80% of the credit's got to go to Felix Paslak. It's a really, really good, intelligent run, especially that early in the game. And, for like when it comes that early, it's easy to snatch at it. It's easy to, if he wanted to have a shot himself, but he was unselfish, played Owen Elding through, and obviously we go 1-0 up. I wasn't even in the stadium, never mind in my seat. So I was, we were walking up to the stadium and I heard the roar and I'm thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, this is going to finish 1-0 now and I'm not going to see any of the other goals. But kind of reminded me a little bit of the Zamama goal against Rangers many moons ago when I think it was Stokes that set him up.
Yeah.
Was it Zamama that scored or was it Stokes?
Yeah.
I can't mind.
We scored into the famous 5 end as well. I remember I was sitting in the famous 5 end as well. Aye. That was
and we got scalped 4-1 or something.
Aye, good game. Worked out well for us in the end.
It was a good 20 seconds.
You've said that a few times in your life.
We'll forget about that. More than a few. But no, kind of to talk more about Owen Elding, Shaun. A great finish for the first goal, and then you said it there. It's a sublime ball through for Jordan Obita just 15 minutes later. Completely breaks the midfield and the defensive lines with a lovely ball through. And Obita, it looks like a simple ball across, but he's got the covering defender coming to close him down. The goalkeeper's rushing out towards him. So he's got to find that gap and to kind of thread the needle through that and find Paslak. It's excellent. And I think that Jordan Obita, for me anyway, is probably one of these players who doesn't get an awful lot of credit because of how good Nicky Cadden is. and how good his delivery is. I don't think people talk enough about how good Jordan Obita is as not even just an understudy, but as like a complete bit of competition for Nicky Cadden. I think we're blessed in that area of the pitch with two really, really good footballers. But like for me, it's again, like obviously you touched on it there about the fullbacks pushing on. It's exciting to watch. It's exciting football, and it kind of culminates with two really good goals. And by 15 minutes, 2-0 up, you're thinking this is game over. Could probably head home. But did you kind of get the wee glimmer of fucking hell? They're going to come back.
Well, as a Hibs fan at 2-0, I never feel happy. We were 3-0 up against Hearts at home after 60 minutes. I didn't feel comfortable. So
that's a different kettle of fish, though.
All right. Well, I was going to use another Hearts example there, but I didn't really talk about that. I think the weight of the pass for both goals is very, very good. You mentioned about Paslak's ability to find Owen Eldon for the first ball, and I think it would be very easy to under or over hit that pass into him, but his weighty pass finds Owen Eldon, and he doesn't need to break stride, which I think is very, very important, and it makes his job easier as a striker to finish that first chance. As for the second goal, you talk about a through ball through to Jordan Obita, the weighty pass, it needs to be on that to cut that line, and again, it's not something he needs to do. He doesn't need to, affect his stride. He can keep going through, runs onto the ball, and then, it might look like it's an easy pass across goal into Paslak, but it's not. You mentioned the covering defender, the defender in the middle of the park. You've got the defender close to Paslak as well. It would have been very easy. And how many times have we seen like Lewis Stevenson or Chris Cadden under or over hit a ball or cut it back when it doesn't need to get cut back? So the weight of that pass was very, very good.
The goalie gathers it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Paslak done his absolute best to try and miss it. Basically kisses the post and hits the side net and goes in that way. But listen, to be 2-0 up and nice and comfortable, it would have settled the nerves of the players, the manager, and more importantly the fans as well, especially after the last two 0-0 fixtures where we've created a lot but not really threatened. So to be 2-0 up very early, it was good. I liked that the rest of the first half, it kind of continued in that tone where we were still trying to create and do more, because it's cliche to say, but the next goal is very, very important in a 2-0 game, and thankfully when they got their goal back to make it 2-1, thankfully for us it was deemed as offside.
Yeah, I mean it could well have been 3-0 before half time as well. Owen Elding does great again. I mean, I think that's a running theme of the fixture. Just couldn't quite find Dane Scarlett inside the 6-yard box, but if it had got to him, it would have been 3-0. And then it is truly game over, regardless of what Kilmarnock end up doing. But let's touch on Owen Elding for a second, Shaun, because I've seen a lot of praise for him online, and I think it is completely deserved. He works so hard. I think he's one of these players that fans are going to love because he works really hard and he scores goals. And I think that is a perfect combination for anyone who watches football. It's the bare minimum to work hard, and if you score goals, then that's absolutely brilliant. But have we sold Kieran Bowie for £7 million and replaced him with a £300,000-400,000 signing and improved the squad?
I mean, time will tell, because obviously it was a January transfer. He certainly looks
has it for right now. Right now, I'm kind of talking about maybe from the start of the season till now. Is that, I mean, and I think Kieran Bowie was always going to go, whether it was January or the summer. Have we improved as a team, letting him go and bringing in Owen Elding? Because I think we have.
I think the squad overall is better, and I don't just think it's that transfer that improves it. I think letting like Junior Hoylett go, bringing in somebody Dane Scarlett's quality as well. I know he's finding it quite hard and is quite frustrated at the minute, but on paper, quality-wise, position for position, I think we are stronger after the January window. And obviously the finance report didn't look great, but the bank balance will have looked all right after the Kieran Bowie sale. What you mentioned Owen Eldon there and how he felt the fans are going to love him because he's scoring goals and he's working hard. I feel quite bad for Dane Scarlett at the minute because he probably on the face of it looks frustrated and looks like he's having a tough time of it when I feel like he's actually working his absolute arse off as well. It's just unfortunate for him that he's not managed to find the back of the net yet, and that the longer that goes on, the more frustrated he'll be when he's on the pitch and the more visible that'll be. And that's just natural, where you've got Owen Eldon, who's got loads of confidence, scored a couple of goals and is playing really, really well and working his arse off. Dane Scarlett just doesn't have that goal yet, and you can see the difference in their performances, albeit quality-wise. Some people would probably argue that Dane Scarlett has got more quality. It's just at the minute it's not really working for him.
If I'm being honest, I've actually been quite disappointed by Dane Scarlett since he's come up the road. I think his first couple of games were really good, and he kind of looked as if he was going to be a real good player for us. I think the derby at Tynecastle took a lot out of his confidence tank. I don't think he covered himself in glory in the derby. And I think since then, and he's struggled, and I think it is probably because of Owen Elding as well and Soto, how well they've both started their careers at the club. I think it makes him look a little bit worse as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not because he's not playing brilliantly, but because they have done so well. I have been a little bit disappointed because I expected big things, and I'm not really too sure why. I think probably because he's good on Football Manager, but like he was a big name coming up the road from Tottenham, and obviously it's just not really worked out for him. Which for me, I'm not overly mad at, to be honest, and with Garananga, because loan signings who come in and do incredibly well, who are always going to be, outside of our price range for summer transfers. Think Mizian. I mean, if Mizian came in and he was shite, no one would talk about him anymore. So the fact that neither Scarlett or Garananga have been, integral to the way that we've been playing means that we'll probably be able to move on from them, no bother, in the summer, and not have to worry about trying to replace them in terms of their quality, like how we struggled to replace Nectar at the early part of this season. But
I think the way that
fairly disappointed with them. I think Spurs could probably do with them.
Yeah, I think the way that
next season,
Dane Scarlett's been trying to play, I think if he doesn't play the way that he has been performing, in regards to what he's been doing and what he's been trying, Owen Eldon probably doesn't get the success that he's got. Soto then doesn't probably come off the bench and get the opportunities that he's got. Whereas if Dane Scarlett was maybe starting on the bench and Soto was starting, Soto maybe wouldn't get the opportunities. So probably without him even thinking or without him realising the hard work that he's putting in when he is on the pitch, is probably doing his strike partners the benefit in regards to seeing the success that they've got. It's just when you play up top, you're selfish, you want goals as well as the team to be winning. So from his perspective, he'll obviously be frustrated at his performance and things that haven't been working out for him. But on the other side of that, if he's not doing what he's doing, Owen Eldon's probably not doing the work that he's doing and getting the goals that he's doing, and Soto's then not coming on when he's coming on and then getting the goals that he's getting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, the mark of a good striker is scoring goals. That's his job. But it's his job. But I can understand where you're coming from. I just don't think that if he'd have been playing better and scoring goals, I'd have probably been sitting here thinking, how are we going to replace him in the summer? But because he's not, and I mean, he might still come good and score a few goals between now and the end of the season, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a clamouring to try and replace someone like that. Whereas someone like Martin Boyle, who is going in the summer, that's going to take a bit of replacing for me anyway.
Yeah.
But no, let's move on from that. Talk about the Kelly goal that was chopped off. I say that right away. I went, that's offside. That's miles offside, and I'm surprised that it took as long as it did on VAR to chop it off. I'm surprised that I was listening to the radio and stuff, and they were like, and I don't know if a player who's off the park is still active. I'm thinking, how if you're working in football, how do you not know this? Like, how many
BBC
times
Scotland
have we seen examples like
to
that?
get it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, BBC Scotland are a joke, to be honest. If you're listening to BBC Scotland, that was a joke. You can have me back on whenever you want. But I just fucking know the rules, man. Like, Jordan Abita was off the park, not instructed to by the referee. If he was off the park and instructed to by the referee, it's a goal, no problem. But because he wasn't instructed to by the referee, he's an active player. So, I mean, I can understand why the referee's got it wrong in real time, right? Because it's probably difficult to. I mean, as a referee in real time, you're looking at that and you're thinking, the goalie's the last man, so where's the last defender? And stuff like that. So I can sympathise with the referee, but the VAR team, it's taken so long to do that, and I mean, eventually they have come to the right conclusion. But then again, on the radio, they were talking about, oh yeah, Kilmarnock have been hard done by. They've been hard done by with that decision. I'm thinking, how have they fucking been hard done by? It's the right call, and I mean, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a bugbear of mine in football, where they're like, oh, they've got lucky, or they've got away with one there. It's like, well, no, factually, that is the right call by the letter of the law, by the rule book. That is the right call, regardless of whether it's our, the Kelly goal getting ruled offside, or like a red card, or another offside, or the ball being out the park, or whatever it might be. Like, sometimes in football, there are things that are blatantly obvious, and it's black and white. And that at the weekend for me was black and white. I think you're right. The referee obviously might not have been in a position to be able to see the goalkeeper, last defender, or beat the attacker. He might not have been able to see that from where he was standing, because obviously he needs to try and keep up with it.
It was a bit of a stramash when it comes back in with the Lions.
But that's obviously where the linesman comes into play, and then the linesman, credit to him, he's probably just letting it run its course, and then one of these let it go to VAR and let them assist us with something like that. The last thing they want is to make the call, and then from a Kilmarnock's perspective, they don't get the opportunity to then try and score, and then it's a case of, well, we could have then ended up scoring for that, but then they called it too soon. So the right decision was made in the end, and that's all that matters. There's no two ways about it.
See, for me, and like, this is what VAR is for, in my opinion. This is how VAR should be used, to kind of make calls like that. But when you're re-refereeing the game, like, with minuscule I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but like the games that I've watched recently, the Dundee derby springs to mind, the one where Dundee scored twice in the last 2 minutes to get a 2-2 draw. There was a handball decision in that game. Simon Murray handballed it in the box, and Dundee United were given a penalty. And I thought that, the referee doesn't give it in real time, and then they're spending 3, 4, sometimes 5 minutes before they even send the referee to the monitor. And you hear this phrase an awful lot about VAR trying to re-referee the game, and it's taken. And yeah, if they come to the right decision, then great. But we all fell in love with football for a reason. You fell in love with football for watching, early 2000s, late 90s Hibs teams and Arsenal teams, and playing really beautiful football and scoring loads of nice goals and watching the game flow. Kids this generation, I feel sorry for because they've not got that. They've not even in the Premier League, because games are being re-refereed. I don't watch an awful lot of the Premier League now, but I had a game on the other day, and the amount of time that they're taking on VAR decisions down there as well, it's a fucking joke, mate. And I think that if this is to be a continuous thing in football, if VAR is going to be here to stay for good, then there's got to be a complete re-regulation of how it's used, and guidelines, and time limits, etc., etc. If you can't figure out if it's a handball or no handball, or offside or no offside within a minute, then the game resumes, because that's then not the fault of VAR. It's the incompetency of the people who are using the technology. VAR's not being used properly because it's being used by apes.
Yeah, that certainly was a off tangent rant there. I think there was such a clamour for VAR to come into football that they were so desperate to get it in before it was probably the finished product. They tried testing it in like Germany and Australia and other European leagues, and they tried testing it in Asia and stuff like that as well. And there was always teething problems, whether it be the technology, the VAR room people, or the actual use of the referees and when to make the decisions. So in the grand scheme of things, from a football perspective, it's new to the game. It will take a while, unfortunately. It shouldn't in today's day and age, but unfortunately it does. And then obviously the quality of the product, i.e. quality of the referees, quality of the league, quality of the players, all that for me would then dictate the quality of the output that you're getting from a VAR perspective. I feel like from a Champions League perspective, a lot of the VAR decisions are done a little bit more streamlined and a little bit quicker. I feel like the English Premier League are trying to be unique with how they do it and how they use it, because they want to be the first to do it this way, and they want to be the trailblazers, and they want to try and be the best league in the world. So they do it differently to other leagues as well. But a lot of the VAR stuff in like Germany or Italy for the games that I've watched has been pretty seamless. But again, that will come over time. Whether Scotland will ever get to a stage where we're happy with it, probably not. But due to like UEFA regulations and stuff like that now, I can't see it leaving our top league.
Yeah, and I don't think it's ever going to improve in Scotland, because the teams aren't going to invest more money in it, because it's got such a poor track record, especially in this division. Teams aren't going to want to spend more money on it. What we need is more cameras, more better cameras, because see, how many times have we watched? I mean, take for example last season the game that we played against Celtic, and we were 2-0 up. Josh Campbell scored twice, remember, in the first half, and Celtic had scored what they thought was an equaliser, but the ball was either in or out. No one knew. And you look at the footage, and it's so grainy. And I'm thinking, how can anyone make a decision on anything using footage like that? The cameras have got to be better. There's got to be more of them, because some of the angles that you're looking at, this is why it's taken fucking 5.5 years to decide whether something's offside or not, because you're using a camera angle that's pointing to the back of some of the players. Like, if you've only got 3 camera angles across the stand, then you're going to there needs to be like 10, 15 cameras, better cameras. Yeah. And I think that is a massive part of the problem. If there was more angles and better technology, then the people who are using it, who are really incompetent, would maybe be able to use it a little bit better. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen, because I don't think teams are going to want to pay for it.
Neither would I, not with the product at the minute.
Exactly. So we're kind of stuck in a vicious circle of VAR kicking us while we're down, and then maybe thinking about improving it but not wanting to improve it because we don't want to spend the money and get shafted again, and then it starts again. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a painful way to live, if you're a football club. I don't feel sorry for the decision makers, because essentially they're the ones who are stopping this from. I mean, I might be completely wrong, but that's just my opinion. Let's talk about the second half and the absolute nothingness that it
I don't know
was.
if I want to talk about the second half that much either.
Yeah, no, I mean, a kind of Jekyll and Hyde performance from Hibs in terms of halves, but I think, you look at the players and you probably can afford them to be a little bit more relaxed. Kilmarnock never really offered anything going forward, did they? Had a lot more of the ball and they probably had more chances than Hibs in the second half, but none that really threatened or made you think, oh, they're going to get back into this or whatever. And then right at the end, Martin Boyle plays a really nice ball across the box for Ante Suto, who scores his 500th goal for Hibs since joining the summer, joining in the winter window. Kind of the cherry on the icing on the cake, 3-0, 3 points. And up the road, Shaun, kind of settled a little bit of nerves towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I say towards the end of the game, it was the last kick of the game.
Yeah, I think when you're going into injury time as a Hibs fan, you're still a bit anxious in case something goes wrong. We spoke about the weighty pass earlier on, which was great. Maybe something they were working on when they were on the other side of the world together. Obviously, Soto didn't make his debut, but it was good for him to get the call up, which is brilliant. That'll not do his confidence any harm whatsoever. The weighty pass for Martin Boyle was really, really good. And that's him scored 4 goals in 8 games, including an assist. So, but I say 8 games, he's only played about 290 minutes, 300 minutes. So it's a not too bad return. I'm certainly clamouring for him to start, but then if he starts, is he then putting in more work that's tiring him out and not giving him the opportunity? So it'll be interesting to see. It's definitely something for David Gray to think about. I do think going away to Aberdeen is a fixture that would probably suit Suto. I think that would be a good fixture to play him and Owen Eldon together. It would be a real good mix. Obviously, we were going into that game off the back of an okay run, albeit 2-0 in there, and obviously Aberdeen are just not improving and are slowly finding themselves in a potential relegation fight. You obviously mentioned you think Kilmarnock will be okay. They're only 3 points above Kilmarnock, who are in 11th place as well. So they'll be fighting for their lives. It's just whether they can put in some kind of performance. And I think if we can play with Eldon and Suto up top together starting, I think it would be good. And then you could maybe bring on Martin Boyle.
I do think some players are more suited for coming off the bench. And I think Ante Suto is one of them. I think, and it seems, it sounds contradictory. I think he gives you more in like a concentrated space of time. If he's given half an hour or 35 minutes, 40 minutes possibly, I think he gives you more than he would over the course of a 90. I think Elding would give you more over the course of a 90, but Suto has got a lot more impact coming off the bench than Owen Elding would, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be quite hesitant to change that, to be honest, because you look at the squad that we've got, and so if we're starting with Elding and Scarlett up top, then you look to the bench and you've got Boyle and Suto to come on. I do think Suto suits us better off the bench, and I think that he's one of these players who can come and dig us out a bit of a hole if need be. Should we need it?
I feel like he's done that in every game. I feel like he's done that in every single game.
Yeah, no, and I think that is that's maybe why he's still sitting on the bench though, is because he can come on and make that impact. I mean, he's quick. He torments defenders. He's strong. He's obviously got an eye for goal. I think that Owen Elding does more in terms of being an all-rounder. I don't see Antti Suto coming deep and playing that ball in that Owen Elding did for Jordan Obita. I don't see him doing that. I think that the dynamic that we've got at the moment with the attacking players is a winning dynamic. And I would quite like to see that continue. Although I do agree with you that Antti Suto could probably be more suited to start. I'm going to rip up everything that I've said. I think he could be more suited to starting against an Aberdeen than Owen Elding would, just because of the physicality. And you know that you're going to, when you're going up there, you're going to have a fight. And I think that Owen Elding technically is a better football player, but Antti Suto is, he's a lot more physical.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a bit more about him in terms of game knowledge and, the kind of dark art side of things. And I think he'd probably be a better bet to start. So I think we'll probably see him start against Aberdeen. But we'll kind of touch on the actual Aberdeen game after our quiz. But as of the full-time whistle yesterday, puts us 3 points behind Motherwell as fourth on.
Is it going to sound bad that I was more concerned about who was sitting top of the league rather than how close Motherwell were to us? That's probably poor from me and probably a bit tin pot, but I think a lot of Hibs fans are probably in that space, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. I think you're simply the best, to be honest.
We are 3 points behind Motherwell. Newsflash, I predicted that about 5-6 weeks ago when we were talking about Motherwell's running and our run into the split. I felt like they had a tougher one coming up to the split, and I felt like it would be quite close. And I did say that if we're still within touching distance of Motherwell come the split, I do think they will be catchable. Their games coming into the split were tough for them, and it proves that because they've only got 1 point in their last 12.
And you've been hounding Gogs every day.
Every single day. Every
time I look at my phone. Every time I look at my phone, it's in the group chat that me and Shaun and Gogsy have got, and it's Shaun being like at Gogsy with the eyes emoji, being like, "We're coming for you, we're coming for you." But listen, I think that it's easy to say, "Oh, the wheels have fallen off at Motherwell." Falkirk are a good side, and they know how to pick up results. Obviously, you can see that they absolutely demolished us.
Yeah, Falkirk might catch Motherwell as well.
Stadium, but I think that Falkirk. I think that they've been a real. I don't like Falkirk, right? But I think they've been a real welcome addition to the Premiership this season. They've brought you something different. John McGlynn, I think, is as much as he's a Hearts bastard, right? I think that he's a cracking coach because of the way that he's been a manager for about 20 years now, more than that. Was he no in charge of Hearts in the We Are Unbeatable derby?
He's been about for a very, very long time.
Yeah, so I think that you've got to give him his dues in terms of how he's been able to adapt to an ever-changing game. And then obviously 2 promotions back-to-back. It can't be sniffed at. And I think he's built a really good team at Falkirk. I think we would be daft not to be looking at Barney Stewart in the summer. I also really like the look of Calvin Miller. I'd quite like to see him in a Hibs top. But I do think that Falkirk have been great. Didn't surprise me at all that they won at Fir Park, to be honest with you. I didn't think Motherwell were great when we played them. I didn't think we were very good either, mind, but I kind of thought, is this maybe, are the players starting to get a little bit tired now? Because Motherwell, with all due respect, aren't a team who are used to fighting for Europe or fighting for those higher spaces in the top 6 very often, where it's Hibs are. Falkirk aren't either. So I think that we'll finish 4th. I don't think it'll be by very much, but I think we will pip them at 4th. And I think the pivotal game will be them at Easter Road. I think we'll beat them.
I think we'll beat Motherwell and Hearts in the split, and I think we'll draw with Falkirk. I think we'll get beat by both the Old Firm sides. That's my
Yeah.
post-split prediction.
You know what everyone's been saying all season about, it's going to be Motherwell who decides where the title goes. It'll be Motherwell. I think it's going to be Falkirk.
I thought you were going to say
I think it's going to be Falkirk. I'd be more willing to back Falkirk to beat Hearts than Motherwell to beat Hearts at this moment in time, or Hibs to beat Hearts. I would put more money on Falkirk than Hibs or Motherwell to beat Hearts.
Yeah, that's easy to say at the minute because of the form. It'll be interesting to see what Motherwell side turn up next week against Hearts, which isn't on the TV, so God knows what will happen.
Hearts are on the TV in just over 10 minutes, Shaun.
Which means,
how do you think they'll get on today?
Well, if it wasn't on the TV, I would say it would be a Hearts victory. But because it's on the TV, Hearts have not won any of their last 3 games on the TV. So I'm hoping that Marvin Bartley does us a favour.
Listen, someone's O has got to go. Livingston no win since fucking August or something, and Hearts no 1 in 3 on the telly. So
yeah,
even a draw for Livingston today would be good for the greater good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as long as it's not 3 points heading back to Edinburgh, that's all I care about at the minute.
Yeah, to be fair, I can't see anything other than a Hearts win, to be honest. Livingston do like to turn up, though, in big games sometimes. So I think Livingston might give them a little bit of a game, but I think come full time, it's probably going to be a Hearts win, unfortunately.
Well, by the time this comes out,
everyone will know. And people might text in and be like, you are an idiot. Livingston just beat Hearts 6-0. Remember when they did beat Hearts like 5-0
it was 5
a few years ago?
Remember that? Yeah, they absolutely battered them. I was thinking about that the other day. That would be a great watch.
Incredible. Yeah, I do quite like a hate watch of Hearts. I had a nice hate watch when they played Kilmarnock. That game was enough to get football cancelled, by the way. Both teams were awful that day. Absolutely stinking. Right, we'll move on. I believe you've got a quiz for us.
Sort of quiz, yes.
Right. Well, let's get going. Yes, new quiz theme tune brought to you by Green Day. Just kidding, it's actually AI. Don't shoot me for using AI, but I thought it was funny.
Well, both the names mentioned in that title song are they're mentioned in the quiz.
Oh, brilliant.
So, nice, simple, to ease us back in from international duty, because obviously we've been away with our respective nations. It's been quite tiring for us over the international break. We're just going to do a simple higher or lower international cap special.
Oh. I'm going to be hopeless at this because I have no idea in terms of international caps.
That's fine. I was banking on that because you love a Hearts hate watch. I love a Liam McLaren hate watching a quiz. So here we go.
I think a lot of people probably do, to be honest.
Right. So nice and simple. I'll give you a name. The first name I'll give you the amount of caps that they have for the respective nation. Then I'll give you the next name in line, and all you need to do is tell me, did they get more or less than said individual? We are starting with the double free kick scoring king against England. Lee Griffiths had 22 international caps for Scotland. So, does Kevin Thompson have more or less than Lee Griffiths at international level?
I'm pretty sure I know this for a fact because I think I heard him talking to Andy Halliday about this on an Instagram reel a couple of weeks ago. I think he's only got like 2 caps, 3 caps, something like that. So I'm going to go with Lee Griffiths, which I think is right.
That is correct, yeah. Kevin Thompson has 3 caps for Scotland.
Yeah, and see, just on the topic, I think 22 caps for Lee Griffiths is an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, I think
how good he was at Hibs and Celtic, 22 caps is awful.
Yeah, I think both those figures are pretty disgraceful, if I'm honest. I'd probably say the Kevin Thompson one's worse, but yeah. So
Well, who did we have in the midfield in the time that Kevin Thompson would have been
you had
playing for
Scott, you had
Scotland? Barry
Scott Brown coming
Ferguson,
into, and then
Dan
Barry
Fletcher.
Ferguson was too busy giving the V's and middle fingers to the fans and
Mhm.
that. So,
James Morrison, Graham Dorrans.
exactly. So,
Players
better
like
than
that.
name. Okay, so that takes us on to Kevin Thompson with 3. So, does Zamama have more or less caps?
Oh, you've got to think it's probably more, because like AFCON and stuff like that. So
Now, obviously, Kevin Thompson has more Scotland caps than Zamama has. More international.
Well, Zamama would probably have more Morocco caps than Kevin Thompson has.
Well, if he was capped, he would, yeah.
I think he probably was. Yeah, I'm going to go more.
That would be
higher.
Correct. Higher is correct. He has 7.
Oh, really?
7.
I thought maybe we would have had more than that, because you think back to when he played for Hibs, what, like in like the late 2000s. I can't remember any. Well, I mean, there might have been a lot of brilliant Moroccan players that were kicking about at that time, but
well, there was obviously
you would have thought maybe that someone playing in a top flight.
There's obviously something behind it, because Benji got 21. So, yes.
Maybe they had too many good creative midfielders.
So Zamama on 7, someone that has been involved in the international scene for quite some time now during their time at Hibs, Rocky Bashiri. Has he got more or less than Zamama?
I know he's been in a lot of camps. Are you counting games off the bench as well? Is that?
I'm counting whatever goes towards their Wikipedia page.
Are you assuming that is? I suppose coming off the bench is a cap.
Well, it is, yeah.
I'm going to say that Rocky's got more, but I don't think it'll be by much. Maybe by 2 or 3.
There is 3 between them, but Rocky Bashiri has less. Rocky Bashiri has 4 at the minute. Well, again.
And that might change, because he'll be heading to the World Cup, hopefully.
Yeah, I sent him a message and said all he needs to do now is just body Ronaldo, get him in his back pocket. So I'm sure he appreciated that. Well,
winnable group for them. Winnable.
Right, okay. Rocky Bashiri has 4 caps. But how many, or higher or lower, Liam Miller?
I was hoping that you were going to give me like Grant Hanley or something, but I would imagine that Grant Hanley and Martin Boyle will be the final 2.
Interesting.
It will be. Liam Miller. Now, I don't know. I would be inclined to say more, because he was a great player, and Ireland as a country probably didn't have many players like him at that time that would have been able to make a difference as much as he would. And also he played for Celtic.
And Manchester.
Yeah, I'm going to go higher.
You would be correct. He got 21 caps for Republic of Ireland.
Oh, absolutely smoked them.
Next, Ophir Marciano.
Oh, you'll have more, surely.
Is that your final answer?
More, final answer.
He does have more, and I was surprised at the number, because he played Scotland a few times and was on the bench quite a few times, but then also played a few for Scotland. He's got 40 caps.
Yeah, I thought so. Mate, how many times did we play Israel in that?
I know.
Like 3-4 year period. They must have played them like 7 times.
You
know what always annoyed me about Israel? And Ireland, actually. That's funny that you've had them in consecutive questions. Is that their badge was exactly the same, but just different colours before Ireland changed theirs.
As in when Ireland changed to the circle one, when they had the old one.
Yeah, like before, when they had like the shield, like the Arsenal tape one.
So,
did you ever notice that? That really annoyed me.
That was the same shape, maybe, but subconscious.
No, mate. See if you look it up.
It's the exact same.
If you look it up, hold on. Let me get it up here. What would you be calling an Israel football badge?
Yeah. I know exactly what the Ireland one looks like, because I had a few Ireland strips growing up.
Of course you did. Right. Mate, here's one of them next to each other.
So it is? Aye, so it is. It's just a shield, though, eh? Do you know what I mean?
No, but like the gaps in the
Aye,
sides and like the weird football and
Israel, eh?
yeah, that always kind of
Israel.
annoyed me.
Okay,
I wonder who had it first.
Sol Bamba, more or less than Ofer Marciano's 40.
Who did he represent Ivory
Correct.
Coast? You'd probably think that they had better centre halves than Sol Bamba, especially back then. Kolo Toure's Ivory Coast,
Yeah.
eh? I'm going to go less.
And you would be wrong. Sol Bamba has
Oh, really?
46 caps for Ivory Coast.
Wow.
Next on the list.
Oh, because I suppose like when he went down south and that, he was probably... Aye, fuck's sake.
Scott Brown.
More or less than 46. See, in terms of international caps, I think it's difficult to kind of calculate, right? Because you're obviously thinking about, you get a camp and you get 2 or 3 games in a camp. So how many camps has that got to be? Like if he's on like 50?
But then you've got to think about friendlies, and now you've got Nations League, and then you've got making it to tournaments.
No, but I'm thinking like, did Scott Brown make it into 25 Scotland camps? Because if he did, then he's probably got more. I'm going. I don't know. Well, he was captain for a while, wasn't he? I'm going to go more. I'll go more because if he's your captain, you pick him every time.
And you'd be correct. He does have more. He has 55 caps for Scotland.
Oh well, so I was nearly bang on with 25 camps.
Almost. So, Effie Ambrose, more or less than 55.
Oh, Effie Ambrose. Sure, he played at AFCON. I'm sure he won it.
I think
as
he
well.
did. Aye.
Did he not? How many times would he have played though? I think Effie Ambrose probably has been. I think, see, when it comes to players like this who have played at international tournaments, you need to factor in the fact that, they could have played 6 or 7 more games in that tournament in that year than someone like Scott Brown who played for.
Does he have more than 55 then? Stop trying to squeeze extra info out of me, Liam, and tell me whether you think it's higher or lower.
I'm going to go no. No, he doesn't, because I think 55 is a big number.
He has 51, so you were right. But it was
get in there.
Another, we've left one Scotland captain and we've went to another one. Another former Hibs player in Gary Caldwell, more or less than 51?
Miles less. I'm going to guess and say he's on like 29.
He's on 55. Good one.
Oh. Well, I told you I was going to be hopeless.
Yeah, I think the hate watch peaked at that moment when you said that. Right. Gary Caldwell, 55 caps. Is Martin Boyle or more or less than that?
Less.
Correct. 41 he is at the minute.
Yeah.
Stephen Fletcher.
Yeah.
More or less than 41?
It's got to be close, eh? He was like a McLeish favourite for a long time, wasn't he? Like him and McBurney and...
McBurney.
But he didn't really play an awful lot. Like, I'm going to go less.
Correct.
39.
33.
Oh, not far off. Because he didn't play an awful lot when he was like in the early portion of his career. It's more when he had a beard than he had longer hair.
After his transplant.
Eh.
Okay, so Stephen Fletcher's on 33. How many did Frank Sozzi get for France? More or less than 33?
Oh, I've not got a fucking clue how many he got for France. I genuinely could not tell you. Like I've not got a clue. I can only kind of base it off like who did they have at that time who had played centre half? I don't even fucking know.
Well, you're talking what, mid to late 80s into the 90s? However long he
I
spent.
have no idea. The only one that's coming up for me is Lilian Thuram. That's the only French centre half that I can think of. How many is it against
33.
33?
33.
I'm going to say less.
Frank Sauzé's got 39 caps for France.
Oh. See, like I told you, I have no idea.
A player that played with Frank Sauzé was Kenny Miller.
And at France?
Aye, at France.
Not for France.
Was Kenny Miller. Has Kenny Miller got more
Kenny Miller
or less?
Aye, more surely. I remember like watching Scotland, like don't know, like circa 2006, 2007, when we had the Diodora strips, and it was Miller and Boyd up front. And how that team never qualified for any Euros or World Cups, I'll never know because
we were robbed.
I think that team was great. I mean, especially with like Kenny Miller was fantastic, and Chris Boyd was even better. I think there was some positions that we were just absolutely hopeless in, like centre halves. We couldn't.
We had people like Gary Caldwell at the back.
We kept David Weir like cryogenically frozen for international duty. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he'll have more, and I think it'll be by at least 5 or 10.
It's by 30 more. He's got 60.
I told
he's
you.
Got 69. 69 caps he got.
Yeah, because he was again like he was one of Walter's favourites.
He was.
What a team that was, headed up by Walter Smith, man. Honestly, that was a fantastic team. It felt like we played Lithuania every time. Remember?
Yeah.
Lithuania and like Macedonia and cunts like that.
Okay, you mentioned him earlier on. Grant Hanley. This isn't the last one, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Has Grant Hanley got more or less than 69 caps?
Right. I think Grant Hanley started to come into the team as Kenny Miller was starting to leave it. I think. When we first started to get Adidas. Right?
I'm not giving you any clues here, Liam. So just tell me, is it higher or lower? Right. That's all I want to know.
I'm trying to figure it out. 69's a lot. Lower by like 1 or 2.
It's lower by 3. He's got 66.
I'm getting better. I'm warming up.
Well,
I'm warming up, baby.
It's a good time to warm up because the last name on the list is John McGinn. Does John McGinn have more Scotland caps than Grant Hanley?
How many does Hanley have? 60 what?
66.
I think he's got less. I think he'll be in the 50s.
John McGinn has 85.
Fucking hell. 85?
Yep. 85 and 20 goals. He's been active for the Scotland national team for 10 years. And yes, I
sometimes forget how old he is, eh?
Yeah, he's only 31.
85.
Yeah, John McGinn's only 31.
I don't think he's a kick in the arse off being like Scotland's record top goal scorer.
No, he's quite high up the list. And well, Andy Robertson.
I don't think he's far off the top though.
Well, Andy Robertson has just got his 92nd cap, and he's now second.
Yeah, he's like third. Is he? Is he second now? Because I know that he went over Jim Leighton.
Yeah, I'm going to check the records, see if it's got Yeah. John McGuinness 4th on the all-time Scotland appearance list.
How many? What about the goals?
Top goal scorers, John McGuinness 5th. He's 2 behind Laurie Riley, who has 22.
Hey.
And he's 10 away from Equal and Dennis Law and Kenny Dalglish's.
I mean, it seems
Kenny Dalglish getting 30 goals and 102 caps is shambolic, considering Dennis Law got 30 and 55.
And fucking John McGinn's got 20 from 85 and is also a midfielder.
Is a midfielder, yeah.
I wonder where McTominay is. McTominay can't
He's
be far
10th.
off.
McTominay's 10th on 14 goals.
Has he got as many as 14, is he?
69 caps.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I enjoyed that quiz. I don't think I was very good at it.
You gave it your best, and I think that's the most important thing, Liam.
I did give it my best shot, and I think that the new music didn't help me at all.
It did help you because it gave you clues about what was coming up, and you still got it wrong. And newsflash, 1-0 Livy.
Is it? Is it really?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie about things like that, am I? Stevie May after 5 minutes.
Yes. Get in there. I'm going to need to put it on the telly as soon as we come off of here. Right. Well, we move on then.
Please.
Before we get to listener questions, let's chat about Aberdeen.
Yeah, I've got a Hearts hate watch to go and watch.
Yeah, me too. Aberdeen, Shaun. They are the joke that keeps on making you laugh.
They certainly can't kick a jelly bean at the minute, that's for sure.
Even hours after you've told the joke, you're laughing at the punchline. Obviously, parted ways with Jimmy Tilleen earlier in the season, then took what seemed like an age to appoint Stephen Robinson, who was just living down the road, which is, for me, an odd... It's all a bit of an odd situation, what's happening at Aberdeen.
That appointment won't last.
To take so... No, it won't last. I've said this to... I said this to Mark actually the other day. I was like, I don't think Stephen Robinson will be there beyond Christmas.
I think Stephen Robinson stands more of a chance of lasting longer in the job if he gets Aberdeen relegated, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I think if he somehow gets that Aberdeen relegated, that Aberdeen side relegated, which I don't think they will, I think he would last longer than if he stays up. I think he'll be away by the end of next season.
And not because he's doing a good job and someone's poached him.
Nope.
I think that Stephen Robinson is a great manager for a team like a St Mirren, or like if he'd went into Falkirk or
St Johnstone.
Someone like that who's kind of milling about the top end of the bottom six, like how St Mirren have been doing. Obviously, they won a cup this year. 3 top sixes on the bounce, which is obviously going to end this year. I think he's a good manager for that level of team because he can get the players in to kind of to fight for him. Aberdeen fans aren't going to take to that sort of style of football. He made St Mirren hard to beat and not fun to watch. And yes, it won them a cup and it got them 3.
He had Aberdeen's 2 best players on the bench yesterday, the ones that are scoring goals and performing. So I don't think he even knows what kind of side he wants to try and put out.
Yeah, and I think if he goes there and tries to completely change his philosophy and try and play the way that Aberdeen fans want him to play, then he's going to get found out pretty quickly. For me, I think Aberdeen fans are much alike to Hibs fans. We've got a certain style of play that we believe football should be played and we expect the team to play. Don't think Stephen Robinson's going to give you that at Aberdeen. Don't think he's going to last long with... I think that even some Aberdeen fans were not very happy at his appointment in the first place. It's not going to have helped the fact that I think he drew his first game and he obviously lost yesterday. Not an ideal start for him. And then he's got kind of half-informed Hibs to face up to next weekend. And I think that we'll go there with our tails up, Shaun. It's been quite a happy hunting ground for us in recent times after a long period of it not being. We've lost once there since November 2022. And that was obviously at the tail end of last season where Kevin Nisbet scored a worldie, and then we still finished third. So I think, as always, you've got to look at it as a pretty tough game because Aberdeen are obviously a side who can hurt you. I mean, they've got good players. That's no doubt. They're obviously not in a great run of form at the moment, but it's not a game that we're going to go and take lightly. That's for sure.
No, as I mentioned earlier on, I think if we can get Soto and Eldon firing up top together, I think we'll be okay. It'd be good to try and get McGrath to get a performance out of him. It's the type of fixture that he would turn up in, especially against his old side as well. You mentioned about it being a happy hunting ground, especially under David Gray for the majority of David Gray's tenure, both as caretaker and as manager. He's been really good there. And yeah, for me, I am going into this game with confidence, and hopefully we manage to get something out of the game. And well, Hearts are obviously playing Motherwell. I'm not going to say what way I want that to go, but hopefully we can stay within touch and distance of Motherwell come the split and get 3 points against Aberdeen, especially if Motherwell are able to pick something up at Tynecastle next week.
Yeah, I think that it's a big game for both sides. Knowing that obviously Motherwell are going to Tynecastle and you know it's obviously a very tough place to go this season, and chances are Hearts will probably beat them. I think it is pivotal that we pick up 3 points at Pittodrie. I think that's even regardless of what happens at Tynecastle. But then on the other side of the coin, Aberdeen are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the league. I do think that the bottom two is going to be Livingston and Aberdeen. I think St Mirren will be in 10th, and I think Killie will probably get up to 9th. But I think that Aberdeen are going to be in that relegation playoff spot. Not too sure. I mean, I think if Partick Thistle end up winning the championship, then they'll be up against St Johnstone, and I don't back them against St Johnstone. Whereas if they were up against Partick Thistle in the playoff final, I think that they would probably have enough to beat Partick. I think it would be funny as fuck if they went down. I can't really see it though. But I think it would be very, 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 very funny. And I would laugh an awful lot.
It'd be funny, but they would be a huge loss to the league, having a side like Aberdeen going down.
I know, but it would be really funny though.
I wouldn't want them to go down. It would be funny, but I wouldn't want them to go down. I wouldn't want a side like Partick Thistle coming up. Partick Thistle to me doesn't scream top flight SPFL. Aberdeen does.
No, but what about Partick? THISTLE, red and yellow team. Aberdeen have not got a song like that. And they've got weird accents.
And it's a terrible away day, in my opinion.
And it's an awful away day. It's an awful, awful away day. Really bad. Whereas Partick's just along the road, Shaun. Just along the road. Come on. Get along to Firhill. Firhill for thrills. No, can I not swing you?
It's a better away day, but that's a given. I'm just talking quality of the league, that's all.
Yeah, I think that at the moment going to fucking... I was going to say... No, I'm not going to say it because we'll get cancelled. I'll text it to you later. Yeah, it's a bad away day.
I can't believe you just texted me saying going to Easter Road is terrible enough.
No, if we can get rid of Aberdeen and Livingston in one fell swoop, I think that would be great. And I don't really care for the quality of the league. But if Aberdeen aren't in it, I think it would just be very funny. Okay. Will we tackle the listener questions?
Yes.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
All right, first up, as always, it's John McIntosh, and he's asking, what is for dinner? So, Shaun, on this very fine Easter Sunday, 2026, what will you be having? for your
I'm
dinner?
having shepherd's pie and green beans.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very nice. I'm not too sure yet. I'm going to my mum's for my dinner. Sometimes she'll have a roast. Sometimes she makes a curry. Sometimes she makes chili con carne. Sometimes she does like fish and chips or scampi and chips. So I'm not too sure. I'll know when I get there. But I'm not going to have to do the cooking or the washing up. So I'm happy with that.
Good.
You ever had lamb on Easter Sunday?
Is a shepherd's pie not lamb?
Or is that got lamb in it? I thought it was beef.
It's lamb mince. Is it not cottage pie that's beef? Anyway, I'm using lamb mince. So
Right.
yes is the answer to that.
Traditional. Jesus would be proud. Jesus would be happy.
Try to do the big man. He's giving his justice.
Yeah, I think he'd be quite happy. I mean, I don't think there was anywhere in the Bible that said that on Easter Sunday you should have chicken tikka masala.
I'm sure he wouldn't be against that. He did love a good feast. The old GC.
He did. He did. Aye, he did. JC 32. He did enjoy a feast, but yeah, that's what I'm having, John. I don't know, and that's what Shaun's having. He does know. Other John told me, why is Owen Elding the best striker in Scotland? And I'll tell you why. Because he works hard, and everyone else is shite, and Shanklin's injured.
And he plays for Hibs.
Yeah, that as well. Stevie made it scored for Livingston.
I know, I said that. And it's
did you?
Slow Sports News over there.
Yeah. It's 1-0 Livy, by the way. Andrew McMillan says, brilliant result today. We are back on track. How do we think the split will go? Will we get more home games than away? It looks like it could be 4 homes. What I have made it. Let's go and get 4.
Yeah, it won't be 4 homes. It'll be 3 and 2.
Yeah, I kind of see it being 4 homes. Hopefully we'll have Hearts at home, because I wouldn't want to go to Tynecastle again. Hearts at home, Celtic at home, Rangers away.
Motherwell away. I think.
Well, we've just played Motherwell.
I know,
away.
but I think it'll end up being Motherwell away, and we'll get Falkirk at home.
I'd much rather play Motherwell away than Falkirk away, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Or maybe no, I don't know.
Well,
Ken, what I'd rather play both the old firms away.
What to?
Because it leaves it down to a free hit, and then have Hearts, Motherwell, Falkirk.
Yeah, no, I think we'll get Motherwell away again. Hearts will be at home. Falkirk will be at home. Rangers will be away, and Celtic will be at home. As it should be 4-1. He is right, but it won't be.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Old Hibby says, what's happened to Jamie McGrath? He was invisible today. Is he carrying an injury?
I think when you perform at the level that Jamie McGrath's played for us this season, it's only natural for him to have a drop-off or not be 100%, whether it be injury-wise, performance-wise, and I think that's just what we've seen. I don't think he was outstanding, but I don't think he was bad. Listen, he'll probably turn up against Aberdeen next week and knock it out of the park. So it's just an expectation that we now have on him because of his previous performances this season.
I think as well with Jamie McGrath, it's difficult for a player like him who's got the tendencies to try and unlock defences. It's difficult for a player like him to really play at his best when he's playing against a bank of 4 or 2 banks of 4. When Kilmarnock are trying to play damage limitation. And, by the time we were 2 goals up, after 15 odd minutes, then I don't think that there's much chance of Kilmarnock coming at us and trying to attack us and get back into the game as much. Especially as the game wore on, maybe they started to come out a little bit more. Maybe they could have done a little bit more, but essentially, I mean, as complacent as you want to call it, the game was won after 15 minutes, Shaun. And I think the players probably understood that as well. But, I wouldn't have said he was invisible or carrying an injury. I just think that it's more difficult for those players to try and unlock a defence when they're being so resolute. and they're not coming at you, or they're not triggering any sort of press or leaving any gaps in behind. Like he can't himself go and drag players out of position and then play the ball through to find on-rushing attackers. So I think it's just kind of, it was that kind of game. It wasn't really built for a playmaker. If you think back to when we had Scott Allen, he had the exact same problem when it came to playing against teams, especially in the Championship, where teams were coming to Easter Road and they were playing for a draw from the off. Scotland sometimes found it difficult to kind of unlock these teams, and I think Jamie McGrath's kind of a player of the same mould. He's followed up that question by saying, why is Nicky Cadden injured when we haven't played for weeks?
Because injuries can take time to heal, maybe? I don't know.
And also, you can get injured at home. Who is it that who pulled or done something to their muscle reaching for a telly remote? Was it Rio Ferdinand?
No idea. I know that.
Someone like an egg exploded in someone's microwave and it
I remember that.
Like third-degree burns.
Yeah.
Can I mean? So injuries can happen anywhere. Injuries can happen in the bedroom, old Hibby.
Maybe.
They can happen in the bedroom.
Speaking from experience.
Like if you stub your toe, or like if you
move on.
Something like that. Baz says, fantastic first 15 minutes, then settled down. Hanley looked solid. 3 new signings, notching 4 boys in famous 5 upper, constantly slaughtered Barlasser and Scarlett until they get taken off, then started on Newell. People have got favourites, right? And I understand that if you don't particularly agree with Dan Barlasser playing, I think we're a better team when he plays. You obviously gave a real good account for why you think Dane Scarlett is playing so much at the moment, just because these guys aren't scoring goals or notching assists. 1-1, is it? Fuck's sake. Doesn't mean that they're not playing well.
Yep.
I think Dan Barlasser gives us a little bit of calm in the midfield, and I think Joe Newell also gives us that when he comes on, and I think that was a complete like-for-like substitution. I get it that for a 3-0 game, it probably wasn't the most exciting you've ever watched. But I think that's always a little bit down to the opposition as well, like I spoke about with the Jamie McGrath thing. But what's your thoughts, Shaun? Barlasser and Scarlett and Newell getting slaughtered.
Well, Newell getting slaughtered is something that isn't new within the Hibs support, and isn't new on this podcast when Craig's here.
Yeah.
Players all have bad games.
Maybe it was him. He sits in the famous 5 upper.
He does. Maybe it was. And I know he's not a fan of Dan Barlasser either, but I don't think he would slate Dane Scarlett because he's a Tottenham fan. So, like you said, fans will have their favourites. Fans will warm to other players. We've probably both done that in our lifetimes, and we'll probably continue to do it as well. The football's a simple game from a supporter's perspective in regards to you play well and you're liked, you score goals and you're liked, and that changes from game to game, and that's probably for Dan Barlasser's perspective what has happened here.
Yeah, I mean, I like Dan Barlasser. I think that I'd just say that I think we're a better team when he plays. He doesn't always give you sexy, but sometimes you don't need that. He certainly doesn't look sexy.
Subjective.
But I don't think that's as subjective as you think, Shaun. But no, he's a good player, and he's got that calmness, the experience of playing so many years down in the Championship. And I think he just gives us a little bit something different in the middle of the park that, your Josh Mulligans, your Josh Campbells, Jamie McGrath, Dylan Levitt when he was at the club just didn't give you. And I think that will be missed if he doesn't sign for us at the end of the season.
Agreed.
But that's just my opinion, and everyone's got one. Next up, Steve says, still far too many draws. If we turn 5 or 6 of the draws into wins, then we would be in the mix for. I'm not too sure. Fourth.
Oh, we'd be in the mix for a lot of things if we had converted.
I think we would be. I think it would be far clear in fourth if we turn 5 or 6 draws into wins. But I think. I mean, you've said it a few times now that it's at this stage of the season we've scored more goals, we've got more points, we've got more wins than we did at this stage last season. I'm not too sure if that's still
in any season since we got promoted.
Yeah. Really? So, I mean, by stats, this is we're on track to have a very, very successful season in terms of points total, wins total, goals total, right? So, I think the fact that Motherwell are punching above their weight and Hearts are where they are puts a real negative spin on Hibs, because I think at any other season, if we followed third up with a 4th place finish, you'd probably be pretty chuffed.
No, I agree.
And I think we're still in the mix, and I think we will finish 4th. Hopefully we're coming into a little bit of form at the right time, and it continues against Aberdeen on Saturday. Next up, Stephen says, business end of the season, who cares about performances? 3 points over good performance every single week. Defence was solid. To be honest, Stephen, I absolutely agree with you. Treat every game from now till the end of the season like a cup tie. Doesn't matter how you get through it, just get through it.
Completely agree.
And finally, we've got A539397135796.
That's a great name.
Says, I mean, try and say that after a few bevies. Elding and Paslak, top class. And I've got to agree. Absolutely.
Great place to end that.
A brilliant place to end. So if you've got this far, thank you very much for putting up with me on my first one back. Hopefully it's not too painful to listen to, especially the quiz part where I got half of them wrong. But yeah, if you don't already, get us on social media. We are at the Hibs Ramble on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that shite. You can find us wherever. If we're on there, we are at the Hibs Ramble. Follow us on Apple and Spotify so you keep up to date with our latest episodes. And all that's left for me to say is a big, big, big thank you again to Shaun and all the contributors who have kept the pod alive in my absence. It really means a lot to me. This podcast is my baby, and I'm really happy that people have still been listening, even when I've not been on it. It's given me a little bit of an ego hit, but we'll take it. We'll move on, and hopefully this episode gets more.
2 seconds.
What is it? What is that? The world's tiniest violin. Right, this is the last ever episode of the Hibs Ramble. No, thank you, Shaun, for jumping on with me today and making the time. I will let us all go so we can watch, hopefully, a Livingston win against Hearts at Almond Vale. Come on, the Lions! See you later. Bye.
Let's get ready to rumble.